The other day I decided I wanted to make a daily calendar, one of those calendars where every day you tear off the piece of paper and there's usually interesting factoids or stories on them. And I'm not sure what drove me to do this, but I decided I wanted to make a calendar based on Nintendo Entertainment System games. And I wanted to make it so that I didn't have to sit down and create 365 individual pages of factoids. I kind of wanted Excel to do the work for me. I enjoy playing around in Excel, and for some reason, this struck me as an interesting challenge to make Excel sort of randomly generate 5 games based on some criteria each and every single day. So this was kind of the end result here. You can see there's 4 different days because I thought that's probably about how many of those fit on a single piece of paper, and I tried to format it appropriately. And for every single day, there's a criteria, and then there's 5 different games that follow, as well as an automatically generated date. And so what it amounts to is that I took every NES game and gathered some data for it. Every single NES game, I went with the officially released ones just to make things easier. And then I gave it a release year, a maker, a rarity grade, and a quality grade. The last two, it's worth noting, are kind of just an aggregate, kind of just me spitballing based on a guess and loose information found out there on the internet, taken from a lot of places. What I would like to do is get a hold of Pat Contry. He's the guy that makes the ultimate NES guidebook and the ultimate SNES guidebook, and see if I could use his data, because he does an excellent job of, he assigns a rarity grade to all of the games in those libraries, as well as quality based out of 5 stars. And I thought it'd be really cool if I could get a hold of that data just so it could sort of be branded as like a Pat the NES Punk thing and have a consistent data set to work with. But I started by gathering all this data, had to do a lot of bank cleanup. Maker was a combination of publisher and developer. I wanted to simplify things, and I know there are some companies that developed and published games. And so Maker is if it qualifies for either of those things, whether it is a publisher or a developer. So I did a lot of collection and bank cleanup. Over here is where the magic actually happens. This is where each game is being noted if it fits the criteria for one of the 4 showing days categories. And so the day 1 criteria, for example, is a release of 1990 and a quality grade of great. So anything that had a release of 1990 and a quality grade of great would get a number here, just a randomly generated number. And this number over here would rank it. That way it's randomly selecting 5 games that fit into that criteria, not based on any other types of preferences. And so it does that for each of the days to see which games fit where. Over here is where the criteria are selected. So every criteria gets either a release or a maker, and either a rarity grade or a quality grade. And that just made it easier for me to organize the text and to make sure the groups were large enough to actually pull from. Each criteria needed to have 5 applicable games, and even with this, there was still some weeding out to do. And then over here is sort of the final text that you get. It kind of combines these pieces of information here into 5 great games from 1990, 5 good games from Taito, 5 common games from Mindscape. The only exception is that there was a couple that I left off release and maker altogether, because there are a lot of games from maybe obscure developers or years that didn't have as many titles and things like that, and I wanted to give those games a chance to show up, especially very rare games. There's so few very rare games, and I wanted to give those a chance to show up more often. So sometimes you'll just see 5 very rare games or 5 great games. So on this tab here, we have the actual criteria, and there's 151 different criteria at this time, and I have plans where I could add more if I would like. And from those criteria, there are a grand total of 16,466 different combinations of games, if I did my math right. And I'm honestly not sure I did. I'm certainly not a statistician, but that's not factoring in the order. That's just saying there's that many different combinations of 5 games that could currently appear on any given day. So while you're going to get some criteria overlap, certainly there's only 151 to choose from and it's random, you have a not a very good chance of getting an overlap from the exact same set of 5 games. That should not happen. So with all that said, I basically have 4 days worth of criteria and game selection here. Again, just thinking if I were to print this, what would fit on a single piece of paper? I have no idea how those calendars are actually printed or bound or anything like that. But if I were going to do that, I have 4 days here that would fit on this front page. The other thing is that I don't want to manually change these dates to make it actually work, to actually print PDFs or whatever would be sent over. I want that to be semi-automatic at least, maybe a little flexible. So I've got my calendar over here, and when I click print, what it does is it goes and it prints a PDF of whatever day, whatever set of 4 days it's on, and then it advances 4 days later. So right now it is January 21st, it's Monday. So after I printed that PDF, it then advanced the date to the 24th, and it's going to print the next set of 4 days. So it's kind of simple stuff really, but would just clean things up if I was actually trying to print a full slate of calendar days. And then if you mess up, anything changes, you click reset, it's going to reset it back to the current day and start you fresh. It prints PDFs, it saves automatically based on, I believe it's based on this number right here, or probably this number. It's probably this number, literally, those are going to be the same number. But it's going to print with that number as its name. So every time I click this, it's going to print, advance, and save, print, advance, save, all that stuff. And I could do that. You would need to do that 92 times, I suppose, to capture a full calendar, if my math is okay. I'm just going to click it a bunch here. And as you can see, we've advanced through most of February. And then it automatically saves in this folder. You can see I've got 9 days saved out. Let's look at the most recent one. Here's the final PDF. And in theory, you would cut it exactly half this way, exactly half this way. I don't know how you would bind these things, though. I'm not sure how to do that. Also, you'll notice I don't really have much in the way of design skills. I would need to hire somebody a little more artistic than me. But I have 9 of those built out for right now. And then if you go and hit reset because you want to start over because I made some changes or added in some new criteria, and you print save, it's just going to override the previous save with that number in it. So no harm, no foul. You can restart at any time. And in the end, you're going to get this cute PDF that you would have to cut twice and somehow bind together. But that is my NES daily calendar. Again, Pat Contry, if you're listening, or if you ever listen to this, I'm not sure why you would. I would love it if I could borrow your data and throw it in here. I don't have any plans to sell this or anything. It's just fun. I'd love to make one for myself, sit it on my desk and feel good about my little project. But I'd love to borrow your data for game rarity and game quality. I think that would give the list some validity and give it a very nice special feeling. Maybe throw your graphic up in the top right corner. Again, sit it on my desk at work and get to have a nice talking piece for people. This is my Excel sheet for the Nintendo Entertainment System daily calendar. Thanks for checking it out. I appreciate it.